Yeah. The main problem with Belcher is when they have like a bunch of little guys on board, and then they play the Belcher to protect all the little guys, and you can't get through the Belcher, so you're just taking like a bajillion damage next turn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or like not even just little guys, but it could just be like they played a Yeti on turn 4, and you were gonna like, I don't know, like maybe you're a druid and you're gonna hero power it to finish it off or something, and then you can't do that anymore. It's like it's really good at protecting other guys.
Anything behind a Belcher is just scary. I'm pretty sure we could agree on that.
Yeah. And it buffs Undertaker.
Except, like I think the one situation where Sludge Belcher is weakened is if you have like another minion on the board and then they play Sylvanas and you don't have like a silence or anything.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, when your opponent plays Sylvanas, you're always going to be in trouble.
Yeah, but Sludge Belcher is one of those creatures that's like hard to get away from because of the death rattle.
Yeah. Any 6 legendary is like pretty good against Belcher, but like it's a legendary, right?
Yeah.
On 6.
Yeah, it's like 2 cards in one, so it's like kind of like a 2-for-1 in 1 card.
Yeah, it's just so
And
good.
all 2-for-1s are good.
One of the combinations I was playing around with in Warrior and in like Paladin to deal with Sludge Belcher easily because it's so common now is I was testing out what's that guy called, Captain Greenskin, with their forward attack weapons, and it actually works pretty damn well. Like,
Let's not talk about Captain Greenskin.
why?
Just
Bad history.
yeah.
Something I don't know
I don't
about
know
here.
if anybody's watching this and watch my stream, they'll understand.
What happened?
Rip. I had a golden Captain Greenskin, and like this is after I opened up like 320 packs, and I'm like looking at all my dust and all my new cards, and I'm looking at Captain Greenskin, and I right click him, and he disappeared. Like literally, he disappeared. It just like got removed from the game. Yeah.
I actually heard.
And
about
I
that.
contacted Blizzard, and they did not respond. So yeah, rip.
Yeah.
You should just message Reels.
You didn't get any dust
I
back?
should have. No, I got my dust,
Oh.
but that it doesn't matter. It wasn't full value, right? It was half value.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I think that was actually a thing too. Like that happened. That was a bug that was posted on like Reddit a long time ago.
Yeah, and
I guess
it
it's still
came
on
back
Facebook.
just for me.
Yeah.
So, oh man.
Alright.
But yeah,
That's
Captain
hilarious.
Greenskin is it's a pretty good idea. I've seen some people tinker with it. Like who was running it? Was it Admirable or no Tides, right? What tournament was it in?
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
think
too long
I
ago.
used it in Paladin, I think, if I remember
Yeah, he did.
correctly.
And he actually
WEC.
it got some
won.
good value.
That's the tournament he
Minor.
won, right? The WEC.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. I think that's the name.
Yeah, he
Well,
won like
okay.
32 grand. But it's a really good card at taking out Sludge Belcher because when they play
Mhm.
Sludge, like it doesn't put that much pressure on you unless they already have like a whole board. So you can afford to take some damage. So like if you play Captain Greenskin with one of these weapons out, you just take out the Sludge. You have a guy on board, they don't.
Mhm.
And it's just like a really like convenient answer to a normally really hard guy to kill.
Well, for sure, when you go Greenskin, like on your True Silver Champion to kill a Belcher, it's like the nuts. Like, it's like, that's what you're like, when you're building your deck, I'm like, I'm going to put in Greenskin to kill Belcher on turn 5.
Yeah, that's like the dream.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen like that. The thing with Greenskin,
Yeah.
it's like one of those
I think-
high-risk, high-reward cards.
I don't even think it's actually that risky because in Warrior you have like 4 weapons in the deck, and it is like the most common 5-drop in the game. And even like turn 6, like creatures still have 5 health on turn 6, like Karen.
Yeah. Like, and Yeti's coming back. I see Yeti coming back, so.
I think he might
That's a good
just be
answer
like
to
good
that.
in general in Warrior. Maybe in Paladin. Paladin has less weapons though.
Yeah, that's true.
So like the next thing I want to talk about is like what classes are the best right now? Because I know that a lot of people were like predicting Handlock to be number 1 after
Mhm.
like before the patch and coming into it, and then now like everyone's expecting Handlock, so everyone's running BGH, and especially
Yeah.
like tournaments, especially
Double.
Prismatic Cup, like literally everyone ran BGH, like no matter what deck they ran BGH.
Mm-hmm.
So like what about like Zoo versus Handlock now? Is like Zoo a better option, like tournaments and stuff, or
I think like formats matter when you're talking about decks. Like Zoo has always and like always will be one of the top decks. And I think in like a best of 5 or best of 3 format, it's like probably the best deck. Best of 7, like I could see like Demon Lock and Handlock being a better option. But yeah, and I think in a best of 3, best of 5, like Zoo's a better option. And as far as like when everyone thought like Handlock was going to be the best, because like logically it made sense, but then at the same time everybody is preparing for Handlock to like take over, and everyone's like theory crafting. Oh man, I'm gonna do this, and they're just preparing for the day Handlocks take over ladder, and they're gonna destroy them. So like if you remember ladder, like the first few days Handlocks were everywhere, and then Handlocks just got dealt with because everyone was prepared, and then they disappeared. So yeah.
Have you
So
guys
if you ever play Hosty in a tournament, make sure to note that he's playing Zoo, not Handlock.
So, like, what's the best class overall right now?
I don't know. Twisted, what do you think?
What I think the best class at the moment is? I don't know. I'm not really a ladder player, so I don't like picking just one deck. I'm more of like a tournament player. Like I'm ranked 9 on the ladder. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not a ladder player.
I'm ranked 9 too.
Yeah, yeah, we're the same rank. But no, but seriously, like I think the best decks are definitely like Druid, Warrior, Priest, Paladin. You know, like the control decks are like really strong at the moment.
So you think Paladin's like up there?
Well, it's just like one of those decks that just like goes late game and can beat like all the other control decks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rogue's the best. Still, just because it beats all those control decks and it beats Zoo, and it like if you put certain tech cards in, you're fine against Handlock.
Yeah. Like big game hunter.
I think it's hard to beat Miracle Rogue. I think people have pulled away from Miracle Rogue as like a reaction to the Leroy nerf way more than they should be. I think it's still the best deck.
Well, Rogue beats itself. Like you can just
like,
drop that with Rogue.
Yeah, sure, but it's still like it proved that it's a consistent deck, and over the past like X amount of months that people have been running it. And if you look at the decks that like Kalento was using in like the Prismatic Cup, I think like they're just like all the top players are running like Paladin, Priest, Druid lineups, and like they would get demolished 3-0'd by Miracle Rogue if anyone had the nuts to play it.
I'm pretty sure in that tournament Kalento played a few Miracle Rogues, but like his Druid deck deals with Miracle Rogues pretty well, in my opinion. Like all you need is Spectral Knight out early, and it usually does the work.
Well, Spectral Knight and Lotheb are like the cards that Rogue do not want to see on turn 5.
Yeah. It
just puts so much pressure.
Turn 3.
Oh yeah, it's even worse. But like those cards just put so much pressure that the Rogue can't really do anything, and then they just like hit you down just a bit. So by turn 9 they can like combo. Whereas if they didn't have the Spectral Knight on turn 5, they would be missing like a couple point of damage. But what do you guys think in Miracle Rogue, Shade or Farseer?
I think Farseer. I tested Shade a lot. It's better in the control matchups, but in matchups like against Druid or Zoo, obviously, or like Hunter, or anything where you have to use your weapon to clear minions a lot, and your health is relevant, Farseer is better.
I agree. Like, it depends on the matchup.
There's even just some control decks that where if you use your weapon too much, it can just kill you, like with Gramash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like Warrior versus Rogue has always been like in the Rogue's favor. Like Warrior is like kind of like turtle until like late game, and then Rogue's just kind of like trying to burst you down as fast as possible. Like just get like Auctioneer and draw a bunch of cards.
I feel like Warrior against Rogue, it's not too bad for the Warrior. I feel like it's pretty good. But I don't know, Shades against Warrior are really, really good.
Yeah, it's
like,
disgusting.
Yeah, I think Shades are really, really good against Warrior. Like, if I'm playing Warrior, I don't want to see a Shade in a Rogue deck. I'd rather see a Farseer.
The only problem I have with Shade is that you never know when to, like, you have to like know when to attack with it, because if you like commit too much to the board, you're just gonna get blown out by Brawl. So you kind of want to get the shade in there. I think the perfect number would probably be a 5/5, so you can like just hit it over with the Death Spike.
Well,
But then again,
it's like, yeah,
it still dies to like armor block, shield block then.
yeah.
When I was playing with the Shade in the Rogue deck, I'm using double Conceal, double Cold Blood too, so like against control decks it's definitely better than Farseer, because you can do so many sick things like Cold Blood it, attack, and then reconceal it, and then like attack again and then reconceal again.
And you can play a 4/4 and get a stealth.
Like them not being able to remove it the turn it's played is huge when you're running cards like Cold Blood.
That's kind of like when you would Leroy and then conceal it, and then hope they didn't kill your Leroy.
Have any AoE.
Yeah. But with shades, it's a lot harder to clear a shade, right? Like a 5 shade. Oh man, we're gonna spark a lot of Miracle Rogues now.
Yeah. Well, we don't have that many viewers. Maybe.
Yeah, but all of them are gonna do it.
They're gonna tell their 10 friends, and they're gonna tell their 10 friends, and next thing you know, it's just gonna be Miracle Rogue on the ladder.
Oh god. Do you think this meta? How much better is this meta than the Miracle meta?
Miracle meta was just like sometimes you draw Auctioneer, Prep, Conceal, Leroy, and you win. So
Mirror matches all the time.
I think that the Rogue deck is a bit more fair now than it was before. It's a bit more consistent too. Before you can just like auto win. There's like nothing your opponent could have done. Now they can kind of fight back, but the deck's still strong if you draw the right cards in the right turns.
Mm.
I think the meta right now still hasn't really like settled yet.
Yeah,
also,
it's changing.
Like whereas the Rogue meta was like pretty defined for a very long time, the metagame right now, because there's just been recent patches, is still changing like every day or two. So it's hard to say something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So,
But right now, as it stands, I think the metagame's better right now just because you're seeing more variety. But over time, I expect that, like, once the best control deck and the best mid-range deck and the best aggro deck have been figured out, you'll see the metagame just, like, narrow down again.
Yeah, that's typically what always happens, right?
yeah. So, like, PVDDR, he like posted an article a while back, like a week ago, well, less than a week ago, about like which classes that like the patch affected, and then he talked about Control Priest versus Kibler's Priest. Like, which one do you think is like better right now? I think it's Control Priest.
Yeah, I say without a doubt it's Control Priest. Like the whole Death Rattle Priest, before like Kibler even touched it, was really, really strong. And then the couple of changes like Kibler made just really, really like set the deck above like every other deck. It was just so strong. Like I climbed on ladder with it really, really easily to number 3 legend. And like the deck just played itself. You just draw Undertaker early, you snowball, and then you have Ysera Mind Control just to deal with the late game. But now there's way too many control decks that pretty much destroy that deck. So I know even Kibler himself, he's running a Control Priest. So I'm sure he would agree with that.
It really depends what decks you expect to see. Like, if you're expecting a lot of aggro, I would not be using Control Priest. So if people start playing Zoo and like the Space Hunter in like high numbers, I think the Undertaker deck is probably better, like on average, all around.
You don't think I think Control Priest is better against Zoo?
I think I don't. I think the Undertaker deck is better against Zoo. Because you just have like the same board wipers, but you just have more early game. And you have less dead cards like Ysera and Mind Control to draw. It really depends what version of Priest you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one that has all the early game minions is like more consistent on average against most decks. But against control decks, I think the control Priest is like way better than the other one.
What's the problem with Priest, right? Like when you play Priest versus aggro, like before like the max changes, you just die because you go like turn 2 heal, turn 3 heal, turn 4 play something, and you're just dead.
Yeah.
So like Undertaker really helps the early game for Priest.
Yeah, and I forgot what I had a point, but I forgot what it was.
Well, I'll say something like I agree against Hunter because the Death Rattle Priest is really, really good. You need the Undertaker Zombie Chill, like you need that like start against Hunter. That's what made Death Rattle Priest like so good against Hunter. That's why it was like really, really popular because Hunters were super popular, and then Death Rattle Priest like did extremely well against them. But the thing against Zoo is you don't have Wild Pyro, and Wild Pyro against Zoo is like it's amazing. And also Silence, like Control Priest now are definitely running Silence, either a 1-up or a 2-up, and that really helps, especially with the Nerubian eggs and all that. And even the Death Rattle Priest runs Ysera Mind Control, so you'd still have the chance to dead draw.
Yeah, it's just a bit more consistent though.
I've seen decks that use early game creatures and Wild Pyro too, though. And there were versions of Priest that weren't using Ysera and Mind Control. They were using like Sylvanas and Rag, like the original.
Yeah, the original one was the original Death Rattle deck ran Sylvanas Cairn, and I'm not 100% sure, but like I feel like the only changes Kibler made was Mind Control and Ysera, and taking out Thought Steals.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that, but I'm fairly sure that's what happened.
Thought Steals are one of those cards that are like really good against control, but really bad against aggro.
Yep.
Like the Priest that everyone's using now is like an anti-control deck, whereas like the Priest everyone was using before was just like a solid mid-range deck, like anti-aggro, like mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at the past tournaments, everyone's running like Control Priest, Control Pally, Hamlock, Warrior Control. It's just like pro players prefer control decks over aggro decks. So like cards like Thoughtsteal are like really good in tournaments, but like not so good on the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think this Priest deck will be good as long as Thoughtsteal is a good card. Like as long as you're in a matchup where you won't die if you have Thoughtsteal in your hand on turn 3, and not like a regular 3-drop. And as long as they have like huge threats to steal with it, or just like good control cards to steal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But in like faster metagames where they're playing minions, you can't afford to be drawing cards on turn 3, and the cards you're drawing aren't like really helping you stabilize. Yeah, or if it's just like you're thought stealing crap like Deadly Poison, then it's bad.
Thought Steal is generally pretty bad against Rogue.
Unless you get Preparation Mind Control.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Double prep Mind Control.
My favorite mistake before the patch, it was Leroy Shadow Step. The most disgusting.
Oh yeah.
My favorite, Deadly Poison and Shade Fury.
Oh god. Second Thought
one.
Steal would have to be Assassin's Blade and a second Deadly Poison then.
The best is when you Thought Steal, Shield Block, and Shield Slam from a Warrior in one.
Oh, that is the best. That's happened to me once.
Yeah, I've seen that so many times.
Actually?
Yeah, well, I've been playing for a long time, and Priest used to be popular. It's popular now, too.
Amen.
But it used to be popular as well.
Kisstafer played in the days when Priest was overpowered, guys. That existed once.
8-mana Mind Control. It wasn't even overpowered back then. They just, like, nerfed Mind Control for the fun of it. Like, only because, like, they didn't nerf it because it was overpowered. They nerfed it because, like, casual players didn't like Mind Control.
They nerfed it because of Arena. That card was just OP in Arena.
Okay, yeah, in Arena it's strong. Yeah. I never played much Arena.
So I think like the last thing we should do before we go on to like the deck list that everyone wants, is like predictions for regionals for NA, which is like in a couple days. So we have Strife Crow, Tides of Time, Admirable, Chalky, Dear Jason, Stunner, Kuhaku, Death Star, Tari, D2, Twisted, Chalk.
Dude, that guy's good.
Wait, there's Twisted?
Yeah.
It's a wrap then. It's a wrap. We know who's getting first.
Twisted, Chalk, Jab, Stas, Hyped, and Firebat.
Let's have Twisted talk about that first.
Well, like, I know a lot of the players personally, and I know what they like to play. So you can kind of like just, like Admiral's gonna go with some control decks, and like Hype's gonna go with like a mage deck for sure. Like just out of like past experiences. Maybe they'll change it up because they don't want to be too predictable. Mm-hmm. But I predict like a lot of like some mage, some some priest, some pally, maybe some druid because like the Kalento Hype. It's going to be like a whole bunch of different decks. It's actually pretty hard to predict what's going to be played at the qualifiers.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hosty?
Oh man. Okay, so I don't know. I've been looking into it, and I've been talking to people, and playing with a lot of these people. And I think we're gonna have some surprises. I don't think it's gonna be what everybody thinks is gonna happen. I'll say that. I don't want to like say people's names. It's kind of weird. I'll say who I'm rooting for. Obviously, Twisted. Got to root for Twisted.
Sweet.
Chalky. Teammates, got to do it up. Let's see. Who do I really want to win? I want Jab to like just hit it out of the park. I want Jab to do it, man. That would be awesome to see. And Tides, like, I don't know. Tides for me, like he always does well in tournaments, and like I'm not a fan of like his personality or anything, but that guy is an amazing player, and I'll give him credit. So I really do hope he does well, because we need to see someone beat Kalento, and I'd like it to be him. I don't want Tides against Kalento. That'd be pretty awesome. How about you, Kisstafer?
It's like there's some really stacked names in the tournament, and then there's like some not so well known names.
Like myself.
If I had to guess,
top 4 right now, Kisstafer.
Top 4, I'd have to go with Firebat, Chalky, Tides of Time,
Tides,
and Strife Crow.
Strife Crow is pretty, and that guy is like very unpredictable. He comes out of nowhere. It's like you don't hear about him ever, and he comes back and he plays really well, and he's like innovative as well. You never know what he's
Strife Crow. Like even before, like he never played that much, but when he wanted to win something, he would log on, just learn the meta in a day, and then innovate a new deck the next day that destroys everybody. Like when he wants to win, he just shows up and destroys everybody. But you'll see him play in some events where he plays really bad and has really bad decks, and it's because he probably just hasn't played Hearthstone in like 2 months.
Yeah.
But when he wants to win, he will win. And players like Tides, they just like always seem to do well. Chalky is a really solid player. He's been around since the beta. Like, if I have to fear playing one guy in a tournament, it's like him, because I just know how solid he is. Like, if you watch him play, he almost never makes mistakes. Someone like Firebat, like, or Hyped even, like, they're always rank 1 on the ladder, so you have to give them credit, right? Like, they're beasts.
Firebat and Hype, man, I think they are the 2 most prepared players in all of NA and EU. Like, they are extremely prepared, and I hope they both do very, very well. Especially Firebat, he's gotten like some very, very bad luck in the past, so I hope he gets some good luck this time, because with his preparation, like, he should do very well. There's some other players like that are kind of known. Like there's Terai. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But he's known like as a Miracle Rogue player. He's played in NESL a lot, and he's just an all-around solid player. From what I've heard, like he's very good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he performed really well. Admirable is the one that's like I'm the most surprised because
That actually made it there.
that made it there, and that made it there so convincingly. Like,
Yeah, like I didn't know like he actually like played competitively anymore because he's been casting so much.
me
But then he just
either.
but then he just like shows up and like dominates everybody.
Yeah, that's very surprising. I think he picked good decks, so it might be because of that. It might be because he's actually a good player, but he didn't get that much time to play before, and he has been preparing. So I guess we'll see what happens with him. He's like, I don't know, that's a wild ball.
It's not like
My dark horse pick is D2 though,
D2.
'Cause-
Gotta go for the teammate.
because he's a teammate. Yeah, but not only that, but like I'm constantly surprised by how he just seems to go deep in every tournament that he enters. Like, even if I think his deck sucks, like I'm on his teammate, I'm allowed to say that. Even if I think his deck sucks and he's not playing that well, he always manages to just go really far in a tournament. So when he does play well and he does have like time to focus and concentrate on the game, like he has recently, like he's been doing really well for himself, and I think he might just show up and win it.
Really?
Like that's my dark horse pick. I think he
Okay.
can do it.
You're going with the D2 Dark Horse pick. How about you, Twisted? Not counting yourself.
Not counting myself. Chalky.
Dark Horse pick.
Oh,
Right.
Dark Horse pick. I haven't really get that much thought, to be honest. I haven't really been
About it
like
now for a few seconds.
like it's Hearthstone. Like anything could happen, right?
That's true. At the end of the day, it is a card game. You never know.
Yeah. Like to be honest, like I didn't even have my invite till the LCQs, and I started off the qualifier 1-2, and I finished 7-2.
Yeah.
So like
I remember
anything could happen. Like I was like September 6th, I had no invite, right?
Remember that crappy mage deck that you played that we thought was like the best, and then just like ended up being so bad, but you qualified with it anyway.
Yeah.
Man, you guys were convinced that deck was the best.
We were sitting there like, oh my
Even
god, this
convinced
deck-
me where it was very good. And I still think, like, there are versions of it. Like, that deck hasn't even seen any spotlight. But, like, other people have made versions that are very similar to it. And they
Really?
are running those versions, and they're doing well with it. So I think
I
you
don't-
were onto something, Kisstafer.
I don't know what it is though. Like we were on like a really hot streak with it for like 2 days, and we were like, man, this deck cannot lose a game. But then like we started playing one day, and it's just like, oh, we can't lose. We can't win a game with it.
I think
But
it
like
was a
maybe
surprise
it needed
factor.
some tweaks. Maybe it was the meta game. Maybe it needs some tweaks. But I think Mage is solid overall.
Like,
I think
when I'm
someone
playing-
could show up with a Mage deck and just win.
Sorry, because when I'm playing like turn 1 Mana Worm and into like turn 9 Yasir, it's like what just happened, you know? Like, I think the surprise factor was huge. Like no one knows your list, so like they don't know what to play around.
Yeah, maybe you should describe what the deck was that you used anyway.
Yeah, sure. Like the deck basically was like early game with Undertakers and Scientists with a Counterspell and 2 Mirrored Entities. So it looks like Aggro Mage like the first 3 turns, and then like all of a sudden you're like dropping like Karn and Sylvanas, Rag, Yasira, and it's just like I think it just like really confused people.
Because they'd use their like executes on a water alley, and then you'd drop your Sarah later, and they'd just have nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And surprisingly, the deck actually had a decent matchup versus Hunter because of your hero power.
And polymorph.
Yeah, for the high main.
Like if they played Jaime on turn 6.
Yeah, it had a pretty good matchup. Like, now, like, we know Aggro Mage is just mops.
YOLO!
Disgusting.
Mops Hunter. It's like, it just destroys Hunter.
Yeah, that deck's all in. Like, you got nothing, I win. Oh,
Pretty
Belcher
much.
is.
Yeah. Or top deck Fireball, I win.
Yeah.
So you should probably get to the deck list.
Wait, I wanna know what James is like predicting to have like what do you think is gonna be like? What do you think people are gonna be playing?
I
Because you're
think
actually playing in it.
Yeah, I'm predicting people are gonna go with control because people like pro players think they can outplay with control, and it's more safer. Whereas with aggro is more like draw dependent. So I think a lot of people are gonna try to go with the later game decks, especially like Tides and Shredco. They love their dirtle control decks.
Now people know to play aggro against you.
Well, aggro's actually a pretty hard deck to use. Like your mulligans are like super important.
Yeah. Alright,
And I feel like it's super draw dependent as well.
Yeah.
definitely.
So what's the next topic, Mark?
So we gotta go to the deck list. I posted the link in the chat.
You can post
I
it
haven't
again.
even seen this deck list yet.
This is like a bunch of deck lists that viewers submitted. And we're just gonna go over them and help them improve them.
Can you bring it? Can you bring it over on the big screen, or
I can post
so everyone can see?
Old.
You can just add a picture on OBS. I think it will let you do that, right?
it. Well, like I have
Oh,
to
I
change
see.
it every
So
time.
like,
Okay.
we could always just link link it in chat like this.
Yeah.
Like this is the
Yeah.
first deck list.
Okay. We'll be more high tech next time.
This
And,
one-
We
It's called
figured it out.
Hush?
It's the first time.
Yeah.
This
like
deck is
someone
called Hush.
asked, yeah, they want the deck to be more consistent.
This is from Shizumatron. From
And who submitted this deck? I actually played a guy using this deck in a tournament, and I was completely confused what the hell he was doing.
Shizumatron, the guy.
Maybe it was the same guy.
Yeah. So that's
Kiss for you first, since you played against the deck.
Well, I played against it, and I actually lost the game. But I thought
Wow.
the deck was like, I thought it was just worse than Hunter. Like even though I lost one game against it, like I thought it would just be better in a Hunter, like as a Hunter. Because like the hero power for Hunter is just so much better. But like I don't know, like you can definitely cheese wins. Like I was playing Miracle Rogue with no Farseers when I died to it, so like the Leper Gnomes got me. But then I just went like Druid and I like destroyed it.
So
This
what can we
deck
do
list-
to make the deck better? Like if we're going with the same theme, like just rush them down. Do we just replace everything with Murlocs? Right?
Okay, I like the Naturalize for some reason. Like in this type
Yeah.
of deck, like you don't really care what they have on the board or what's in
Yeah.
their hand.
Very
You
true.
just want to
wanna get
like
rid of it.
you just want to like you don't care how many cards are in their hand. You just want to clear the board so you can keep bopping them in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really nice for in the deck. I like that.
Do you like
I almost feel like
Warrior
the Innervate.
Yeah.
I think Innervate is actually really bad in this deck
Yeah.
and should probably be taken out.
What was
Yeah, I
your
agree.
place?
I don't like Innervate either.
The reason for I think they're saying Innervate is not that good is because if you have a let's say you go first and your hand is like a 1-drop Innervate and like a 3-drop, and you just Innervate out your 3-drop or something,
You just get
you
rid
have
of
like
your entire hand.
you have no hand. Like you have hardly any like
Yeah.
drop in this deck except like Collate Oracle.
Mm.
And
So yeah,
your
like-
job is clean like a Wolf Rider or like an Arcane Golem. So it's
yeah,
like,
exactly. It's just gonna get hero powered or something.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Force of Nature could be good just to help finish them off. Like not even like for the turn 9 combo, that's not necessary, but even just for 6 burst damage on turn 6,
Mhm.
maybe it could be useful. Maybe a Black Knight, because Sludge is so popular. Maybe you need that card in just this type of deck now.
I think Owl's better than Black Knight in this kind of deck, but
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
if your
Maybe an
top
Owl.
end's 4, how about if your top end's not 4? How about if we make the top end 5? Like, how about if we have 2 Spectral Knights, we get rid of Innervates, and we have Force of Nature, or 2.
Then
I
you're
also
just
think-
playing like Kalento's Druid.
Well, not really, it's more aggressive. It's more similar to Kalento's, but it's just a more aggressive version.
I really like Lotheb in these kind of decks because you can drop when you drop Lotheb when you have like a board of like little guys, you just win the game.
Yeah. I like Lotheb too. So if we're cutting Innervate, we have 2 slots to work with already. So one is Lothab, and what would the other one be? Force of Nature?
Force? I'd want to cut 2 things and add in Spectral Knights.
The thing is, if you start putting in a whole bunch of 5 drops, you kind of want the Innervate back. So like, I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
Like,
Deck list should be on there now. It's kind of ghetto.
maybe a card you could put in this is like the 2 mana buff, like 2/2. Because stuff like Echoing Ooze and Haunted Creeper use it so well.
Mark of the Wild?
That's the 2 mana one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Just because like it's so common for some of these early minions to stick to the board.
Mm.
Especially if you get it off with Echoing Ooze, it's like a pretty nuts combo on turn 4.
How about you play Worgen turn 1 and then you mark turn 2? It's not too bad.
That's not bad. I mean, it's a strong play. If you have a Loot Hoarder, maybe you play Loot Hoarder instead, but like...
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so guess we can move on to the next one.
Alright.
There's another deck
Someone
list?
link the next one.
Oh, I linked it. It's a bunch of deck lists. Like, we won't be able to get through all of them today, but we'll just try and get through as many as we can.
We'll do as much as we can.
Another aggro deck.
Cheap aggro. Oh, I like the faceless.
It's like...
He said he wanted to improve the matchup against Control and Handlock.
Versus Handlock, I mean, Handlock's always going to be a hard matchup because they have like infinite taunts, like Ancient Watchers, Vulcans, like so it's going to be really hard versus Handlock.
And it says cheap aggro, so I guess he probably can't afford cards like Mukla, right?
Yeah, against Handlock, if you want to get in fast enough to kill Handlock before they start playing all their taunts, you really need cards like Leper Gnome.
Yeah.
Because like you need stuff that can get in damage before they lock down the board, so that you can finish them off with burn.
Like this,
otherwise, they just taunt up and you lose.
Like, does Wolf Rider even fit in this deck? I feel like it does.
Also, what I noticed is that there's one 2-drop, and that's Defice. Well, 2 of them, but and
there's also one 1-drop.
Yeah.
This
so
isn't even
for aggro, this is not going to work out. Some more.
This deck isn't even really aggro. Like you don't have enough 1-drops. You don't have enough 2-drops. Like you have a whole bunch of spells, which are like fine.
Well, there's no Auctioneer.
Yeah.
But like
so like you don't really want Fan. Do you even want Shivs? I don't think you want Shivs.
I don't think you want either of those. Unless you have Downless, maybe.
Fan and Shivs are the kind of cards that you want to put when you're trying to draw a certain card. This deck isn't trying to draw a certain card. This deck's just trying to kill you.
Yeah.
I see what you... Okay, go ahead. Never mind. We'll talk later.
Yeah, so basically what I was going to say was that you just want to take out like the Shivs and the Phantom Knives and just add in more early game minions. Like, something I really like in this kind of deck is Argent Squire, because when you have Argent Squire Cold Blood, that causes so much pressure, and it's so hard to get rid of.
What about the Vanish?
That's what I was going to talk about. I see why you want Vanish in the deck, because part of the problem with playing decks like these is you want to ignore their minions. And if you ignore their minions for too long and they get board control, they have like this huge wall of like taunts that you can't do anything about. So being able to lift them all up is nice. But the thing about it is that like it takes so much mana that you have to invest your whole turn to do that, which means you're not doing any damage. So it's like kind of bad in a deck like this. I just think the card's not that great overall. I would take it out for like an early game creature.
Yeah.
Or like a burn spell, so that you can get in damage after they've already got board control.
Yeah, like when I'm looking at this deck, I'm like, it's like bipolar. Like, it doesn't know if it wants to be aggro, it doesn't know if it wants to be tempo, and it doesn't know if it wants to be miracle. It's like, it's just confused. Like you're trying to do too much with the deck.
Yeah, it has like elements of all 3 different archetypes of rogue.
Yeah. I just don't think it synergizes. So like you have to decide what you want with the deck, and if you want the Wolf Rider route, then that could definitely happen. You just add in another Shadow Step, double Cold Blood.